Rich, you've devoted so much of your life to this work and opportunity-centered teaching. Where did it start for you? What brought you into this?
Well, I am the product of public schools and really outstanding teachers, especially, black teachers when I was in, elementary school who pushed me, who saw potential in me, and who were, really difference makers in my life. My ELA classes were those classes where I was able to read about things that uh, were really pertinent to sort of my developing understanding of my place in the Americas and those kinds of things. But so ELA became a really special place. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X and Langston Hughes' I Too and Phyllis Walker's A Farewell to America and all these great books that were really central to my development. And I remember when I was, maybe 14 to 15 years old, reading Paul Laurence Dunbar's We Wear the Mask. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember it, but it's, we wear the mask that grins and lies, it hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and smile with myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but oh great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh, the clay is vile beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. And that poem for me was really central because for me as a 14 or 15-year-old black male, even though my ELA classroom was so welcoming to me, it also was a place where I had to check important aspects of my identity at the door. And so for me, if that Dunbar poem resonates with me because I had to essentially grin and lie about who I was. My identity had to really be suppressed in those spaces. And the big question for me, has been, why can't schools be places where young people want to be? At that time, I was immersed in what is now known as hip hop culture. I was listening to, Heavy D and Queen Latifah and MC Light and Dougie Fresh. I don't know if you remember 6 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh and your own. Well, anyway, I diverge. But the point is, so much of who I was had to be checked at the door when I arrived at school. And when you think about what happens in schools, I've always wondered why we as adults and why teachers uh, have not been well trained or don't see the value of really trying to bridge outside of school experiences and interests of young people with what we're trying to convey inside of school. When teachers have deep and rich and robust content knowledge, when they know their content well, they're able to make those
Connections
leaps and
back. Yep.
those connections back. And so for me, I've really tried to spend my life and my career. I really want my life and my career to count. I really want to be someone who leaves situations better than I find them, and I really want to be someone who, is not selfish and makes a contribution beyond myself. And so I strongly aspire to to do work that can be that my children and my children's children and their children can be proud of one day.
That's great. I think that resonates for so many teachers that that's why we're here in this business, because we feel like we got something out of schools, out of the communities that raised us. Not always all parts of that school, but saying, man, this is a great institution that could be better, and we want to be part of that.
Right. I mean, and the point, even in my critique of all I had to check at the door, the important point here, right, is not that schools are perfect, right, but that we're trying to get better. Right, and that's what I try to do in the book. Is I really try to demonstrate how educators right? And in the beginning of the story, I shared how those educators were difference makers for me. They were people who saw potential in me, who pushed me to try out for football. They were the folks who pushed me to to read books that I had never thought about reading. Who introduced me to poetry. Those are the people who introduced me to the love of learning, in so many ways. So Justin, what's gotten you into this work?
Well, I taught as a ninth grade world history teacher, and I had 3 sections of world history, and then every year I would teach a section or 2 of an elective. And one year early in my teaching career, I was assigned to teach race in America, which I was really excited about. It seemed like an incredibly important topic. It was some things that I had studied at the University of Virginia. Julian Bond, who's a great civil rights hero, taught one of the classes about the civil rights movement and other things there. And I show up and I get my roster for the first day of class, and the entire class is African American and Latino kids in a school where maybe 8 or 12% of students are African American, Latino, and the rest of the kids are white. And I just thought to myself on that first day, like, what did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? Kids have been here from 7th grade. What did we do wrong that not a single white student saw themselves in a class called Race in America? Now, it was an incredible privilege for me to be able to spend a semester with these brilliant, talented, earnest, young African-American Latino students, to be in a space where I think they felt safe and comfortable with each other, with me trying to stay quiet and do a lot of listening and say, what's your experience here at this school? How do these themes from American history relate to your life right now? And just realize that we as a school had not done everything we could to make those students feel like this was their place, this was their home. And so I think that experience was radicalizing for me in a lot of ways, to say, like, what have we done here that not a single white student in the junior class and the senior class feels like race in America is something that's really important for them. And what could we, and then all the stories hearing from Latin American, African American students about the ways that we fell short in serving them, thinking that really for every day beyond that, it has to be serving both of those groups and all of those groups. Who are the kids that are not being served as well as we could, that we could be reaching better, and who are the kids who are not seeing how tremendously important issues of opportunity and inequality are, and how do we reach out to them?
Yeah, that is it's really powerful and provocative in so many ways. This idea that as we deepen our knowledge and as we come to know, sometimes it takes those stark contrasts, right, to help us understand how we make sense of and we build narratives that make sense.
And the dream is that, we're a country of immigrants, we're a country of lots of different people, of growing diversity, and the challenge for all our educators is to build a set of schools that doesn't just work for the set of kids that it was historically designed to serve, but it works for all of our students from all these different places who are coming together to make lives in America that starts with their schooling in America.
That's right.